So let's get started with today's educational beauty video, which is 4 different ways to apply foundation. I was having a think about this and I was thinking there's got to be more than just 3 ways, because I'm sure there are only 3 ways that come to mind to you. And I found a really good way and I loved it. So I can't wait to share it with you. We're going to be looking at how quick it is to apply using each tool and also what the finished result is, because you will be surprised to know that the foundation looks different with each application. Before we head into the video, don't forget I do have an online publication called Confessions of a Creative, which covers several different topics, all written by me under health, beauty, self, culture, fashion, a bit of everything. There are 2 options for subscription. One is free, where you get occasional newsletters sent directly to your inbox, or you can check out the actual main online publication, or you have a paid version which only costs a coffee a month and you get detailed beauty newsletters, everything sent to your inbox, or as I said, you can check it out online. And I even answer beauty questions that you have asked over here on this channel. Plus we get a room where we can actually chat as well. So that's pretty fun. Now, if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Don't forget I'm over on Instagram too. Let's head straight into this video. Okay, so I have nothing on my face other than just a little bit of brow product because I don't want to look completely crazy every time I put the foundation on and show you. And also each time I'm already going to have a very tiny bit of concealer on my under eyes and on my lids, just a little bit, because I feel like then you can see a kind of more complete look. There is nothing on my face anywhere else, forehead, anywhere cheek, even the concealer that I've put on my under eyes here, it's this like, honestly, it is the tiniest dot. Trust me, it's like so tiny, and it's stayed within that under eye area. It's not going over my cheeks or anything, right? And I've put no powder on. Let's get started with the first way that you can apply foundation. Now, I'm going to be using the same foundation and 4 different tools so that you can actually see what it looks like. And I'm going to apply it all over the face each time so you can see the finished result. I am not going to be applying powder on top of the foundation each time, because I really want you guys to see what the foundation looks like as it is, because once you apply powder it kind of mattifies and, you know, kind of changes it and kind of becomes more of a uniform look for each type of application. And I would rather you just see the actual application process and see what it looks like before putting powder, because you'll use different types of powders. So let's get started. The foundation I'm going to use is my NARS Sheer Glow in Aruba, and the first way that I'm going to be applying this is with a brush. So these 4 different ways are, you know, easy for you guys to do, and you've probably got the products, the tools already at home. I've applied a small amount to the back of my hand there. I'm going to get my brush and I'm using my Sigma F85 brush. This is a really good airbrush kabuki brush, and it's just really good for kind of like buffing foundation into the skin. Apply a little bit onto the brush here, and then what I'm going to do is just kind of like dot around on my cheek, and then very kind of like light pressure, and I'm going in circular movements. So rather than brushing it on with a brush, usually you see me use my F47 brush, I believe it's called, from Sigma. You can brush it on with that if you want, but this is just another brush that you can use that is one of my new favorites for applying foundation, because you get no brush marks. You don't get it with the F47 either, but it's just more of a kind of like buffing technique, you know. You're really kind of like really letting it sink into the skin, and like it's such a nice airbrush finish that you get with this brush. So take a little bit more of that product. We're going to go onto the forehead, same way. We've just dotted it around there, and then we're just gonna, in circular movements, kind of go into the forehead, down the sides, because we want everything to connect together, down the nose, and then we're going to go onto the other side, right? I love this brush. It's such a nice brush because it's just really soft. So you want to go in circular movements, but very soft pressure, very light pressure. And then down the neck, you can brush it down. So that is our first finish. You can see how that looks. I love it because I can tell there's no brush marks. It's a very airbrush kind of like finish to the whole face, and it's very light. Like, it gives you that coverage, but it also doesn't look heavy. It's a very small amount of foundation that I used on the back of my hand. Obviously the Sheer Glow doesn't have a pump, so you know, I can't really say it was one pump. It's a shame they don't have a pump on this. Very small amount. You know, I've used majority of what was on the back of my hand. There still is some kind of left over, but you can also build it up. So if you wanted to kind of apply another layer, the best way to do that is do your initial first layer, and then you kind of do the same thing all over again. And that's going to give you an extra layer. So if you feel like with a brush you can only get like a light finish, you know, don't think that. You can kind of like apply it as normal and then go over with another layer in the exact same way. That way you get that nice airbrush finish, but it's also kind of giving you a bit more coverage. See, that's another layer now. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I really love this brush. You guys need to get this brush. It's such an amazing brush. And don't forget, you get discount from Sigma with my code Nina Ubhi 10. So head on over there and you can get yourself one of these amazing foundation brushes. It's the F85 Amazing. Now that is our first way of applying foundation. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so I have nothing on my face again, exactly the same kind of start that I had with the first application. I've got a little bit of foundation on the back of my hand again. Now we're going to go in with a sponge. So we're going to be using a sponge for our second way of applying foundation. And this sponge is the Real Technique sponge. It's damp and it's been, all the water has been squeezed out, a tissue wrapped around it, squeezed again. So we've got rid of all the excess kind of water. And now what I'm going to be doing is I've got the foundation there and I'm going to buff the foundation into the sponge. So we're buffing it into the sponge first and then we're going to buff it onto the face. So we're literally just kind of bouncing the sponge all the way across, and let's see what kind of finish this gives. So I always like starting from the top and then working my way down. And you can see we're getting that really nice finish, which is nice and smooth. So you can see how we've got that really nice finish there. Let's go to the other side, same thing. And again, you can build this up as well using a sponge in exactly the same way. So you would just apply more to the back of your hand, buff it into the sponge, and then buff it right onto the skin. So you get a really nice finish. I have to say I prefer the finish from the brush so far. So we're right at the end of this video. We're going to figure out which method of application actually gives a better finish. So far I am loving the brush finish. It really does give a kind of like soft focus, nice kind of airbrush finish. Exactly what the brush says. Let's get this cleaned up and then move on to the next way of applying foundation. Okay, so I'm ready for the next method of application. Now, I'm guessing most of you are gonna kind of like guess what the first three ways of applying foundation are, and I'm guessing you're a bit kind of like confused about what the fourth version would be like, but obviously keep watching so you can see what that fourth method of application is. Now this one, we're going to be using our fingers for this. This always scares me because it's just so messy. I need to get a couple of wet wipes ready, well, not just in case, for sure, because my hands are going to be dirty. So I'm going to get my foundation and I'm going to apply foundation to the palm of my hand, not a lot, so just a little blob there, and I'm going to literally apply this like you apply like cream moisturizer. So as you can see, we're applying it exactly as we would do like a moisturizer. It actually gives you a really nice finish because I remember doing this on another video because I was trying to like see how this whole Meredith Duxbury application work. That was obviously very excessive, but it gave a really good finish. So this is the finish with the foundation using your hands. I actually really like the finish. I do feel like you don't have as much kind of like glow with this kind of finish because it kind of really pushes the product into your skin. Now I'm going to get a very small amount of foundation again because I want to show you like what this is like when you want to kind of like build it up. And it's really easy to get good coverage this way. But I do feel like regardless of the foundation, you're going to get more of a kind of matte finish, which is really weird, you know? But it definitely doesn't look as glowy as what it did when, you know, the first way of applying foundation and the second. But yeah, I feel like this way of applying foundation is good because you really get that coverage and you kind of like really get into all the kind of corners of the face. But my only issue is the glow is kind of taken away. It doesn't look healthy to me. It looks almost a little bit more dull, and I don't know what that is and why. Maybe you're really kind of like rubbing it in comparison to like obviously buffing it into the skin. You know, you get a good finish. You get, you know, you really do get to all the areas of the face, which is great. But I mean, you should be able to really get to all the areas with any kind of tool, really, as long as you're applying it in the right way. But I do feel like I don't know what it is about this way. Putting aside the fact that it really frustrates me that I get my hands dirty, I just feel like it doesn't give me a nice kind of healthy glow. So yeah, it gives you amazing coverage, but I just feel like there's no like kind of like glow there. So yeah, this is my third way of applying foundation, and let's see what the next one is like. Okay, so I'm all set for the last way of applying foundation. So this next way is actually something that I don't think a lot of people do, but I personally feel like it gives you a really, really nice finish. And I kind of feel like the tool is big enough to kind of really get into all the areas. So it's actually pretty quick as well in comparison to things like applying it with your fingers or even a sponge. I feel like a sponge probably takes a little bit longer. I am going to be using a powder puff. This is just a generic powder puff. Now, the difference is you don't want to have this dry. You want to have it wet. So not wet as in dripping wet, but you want to soak it. You then want to squeeze all the water out. You want to get a tissue, wrap it around here, squeeze it again. So you get rid of all the excess water. And then you've got a damp powder puff. You want to get one which is like this, which is quite a thick one. You know, you get some really thin kind of rubbish ones. You don't want to get those ones. You want to get a really nice thick one. You can get them off Amazon or anywhere like that. I believe this is from one of those places. But yeah, it's a really nice kind of sturdy powder puff. And the good thing is you can wash this as well. So that's great. Now I've got some foundation on the back of my hand here. I am going to get this sponge, and can you see that what I'm going to do, put my finger here in the middle, and then got my thumb and then my other finger here. And then I'm going to squeeze it so that it's like this, right? That's what you want to do with this. This is your kind of positioning of the sponge, of the puff. Sorry, I'm not going to call it sponge anymore. It's confusing. I'm going to call it puff. This is the positioning of the puff, and you want to keep this kind of like this. This is what you're going to be using, this whole side here. So we're going to go into the foundation, and we're just like literally brushing it onto here, right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and apply this onto the skin. And I personally love this finish. It gives a really nice kind of like glow, and I know a lot of it has to do with foundation as well, but I just feel like it's actually better than using a sponge, because you've got a larger surface area, so you're really kind of like getting into all the areas. And it's almost like you're kind of not having to worry so much about buffing, but you're kind of gliding. So you're not buffing into the skin, you are literally gliding it on like this. And it's just easy. And the reason why we obviously bend the sponge like this is so that we can really get into all the areas, and you can kind of like manipulate the puff to be able to just go wherever you need it on the face. So this is the finish that you get with it. What do you guys think? Is this something that you would wear? Like, see, I feel like I've still got that glow coming through the foundation, and I love that. If you want to go over with another layer, you can. You just kind of like wait a little while, and then you go over with another layer in exactly the way that we first applied it. And this time round, my pressure is lighter. I love this finish that it gives you. I just feel like you've got that glow there. It's not so dull. I don't know what it is, but I mean, this goes to show really that your tool that you choose, I don't know why I can't say tool. I can't say tool. It just comes out weird. Your tool. Yeah, why am I struggling with saying that? Whatever tool that you use, right, does make a difference in how your foundation actually looks. So it isn't just down to the foundation. The tool that you use to apply your foundation can actually change the way the finish of that foundation actually looks. That's something to actually take into consideration, because you wouldn't think that, right? You would just assume it's your foundation. If that looks funny, it's the foundation. If it looks dull, it's the foundation. But actually whatever you use to apply it can make a huge difference. So hopefully this kind of shows you that there are other ways to apply your foundation. It gives you an idea of what you think works better. You've seen me apply it in every way. There were 4 different ways that we applied foundation, and you have seen which one was pretty quick, which one kind of like took quite a while, what kind of finish each one gives you. Like, I personally really like this finish. Like, it's something that I would wear, and I feel that it's something that you guys would wear. I'm just getting a little bit more foundation because I want to show you, because I've done this before, and I want to show you how you can keep building this up, and it gives you such a nice finish. So I've let that layer kind of stay there for a little bit, and now I've gone over. So you let the layer dry a little bit, and then your pressure is even lighter than before, and the under eye you can press. If you take your foundation up there, I'm not saying that you have to. Everywhere else, you glide very softly. So this now is another layer. See how that looks? It's very flawless. I feel like that glow is coming through. I love the finish of this. Like, hopefully this has shown you that there is another way as well. It's not just either kind of fingers, brush or sponge. You can use a damp, sturdy, thick powder puff and it gives you the most amazing finish. Now, which finish do we like? I want to know from you guys in the comment section which one you are leaning more towards. Do you have a powder puff? Are you going to be trying this out? Like, which one are you kind of preferring in terms of the finish? I really do hope you've kind of taken note of like the way of application as well, like how we've used each tool, not just kind of like, oh, a sponge looks better, but also how did she apply it with the sponge, or the brush looks better, but which brush did she use and how did she apply it and what was her pressure like? So I'm trying to, kind of tell you these things as I'm going along so that you have every piece of the kind of jigsaw, right? So that you can kind of put it together yourself and make sure you've got all the information to get, as close to perfect as you possibly can yourself when you redo this at home. So I really do hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any ideas about another way that you could apply foundation, I would love to know from you. So let me know in the comments box below. And I'm sending you loads of love wherever you are in the world. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.